The seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the Thursday Night Forum here on the Bhoycie Bus. And as you can see, none of us are Russell Bhoycie, as he's taking a little night off tonight after being on the channel for about 18 hours yesterday or something. He was doing his own marathon, I think. He did 3 shows in the one day. Fair play to him, he absolutely smashed it. And yeah, he's asked me to step in tonight and do a bit of the hosting duty. As you can see, folks, I have not come along for this little night of debate. Of course, he's a staple now on a Thursday night. He is a fan's favourite. It is the judge, Mark Kearney. Hello, Mark. How you doing, mate? We had Christmas stocking hanging in the background as well, getting all festive.
I'm about as much of a fan's favourite as diarrhea, mate, but I appreciate the good intro, mate.
You're one of my favourites, Mark.
Mate, I don't know where that came from. I mean, I bought one of them, right? And I come in the day, there's 2 lying there. So I don't know where it's came from. I don't know if maybe I've got a secret Santa, or maybe somebody's broke into my house and left me something. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out when I go to my sock drawer.
But it's good to see you on, mate. It's good to see you. And
Very
we're
welcome.
forward to a bit of debate because we've got a lot to get off tonight. And of course, David Logue has joined us tonight. David, how you doing, mate?
Mate, what a fucking disaster I've had coming on this show on a Thursday night again, man. Honestly, I've just got in for like a 12-hour shift at the shop. I've tried to get my mic set up. The mic's no fucking working. And then I've got this stupid wee stand that the leg's broken, the tripod leg's broken. So I'm holding this thing up like a fucking Japanese tourist on the Christmas market. Like, I mean, I'll be like Kyogo on the big wheel. So I'm standing here like a right prick holding this. I feel like one of these speed cameras.
Well, we went on the other day with his phone kept falling over as well, so that could be
I should just do the corner car and just put it down here and I'll be fine like that. But I'm holding it up, so.
Okay, fair dues. But whatever makes you happy. But no, it's good to see you on, mate, tonight. And yeah, you have had some disasters with the techie gremlins for the last few weeks on this show.
Oh, I think he looks like at Sam's Footy's Adventures, the way he's cutting about there.
Oh, aye. See, but aye. Oh, so the selfie stick, that's what you need, mate.
Aye.
You need.
That's what I'm holding a selfie stick pretty much right now, honestly.
Just total unprofessional, mate. I didn't come on this show for this. I wanted a bit of professionalism.
Oh. Well, if it makes you feel any better.
I do apologise, Judge. I do apologise, mate.
I'll be doing a segment on you later on, David.
Throwing the book at me already.
The topic of his rant. But if it makes you any better, David, yeah, the intro is playing up for me again. If you ever see me hosting and I fade us in at the start where the intro finishes and there's nothing on the screen and then we come up, it's because I'm having problems with the intro where it keeps freezing on me. So I take us off the screen till I know the intro's definitely finished. So that, once again, has been a problem. But hey, the Thursday night show just seems to be cursed with all sorts of gremlins. It happens every single week. So why break tradition, guys? But speaking of traditions, as I always do when I'm in the hosting seat, it's time for all that good stuff, folks. So remember to do of course, we like on the video. It helps with the old algorithm. Get involved in the comments tonight, particularly on the Thursday Night Forum, because we want to hear what you have to say about all the hot topics going on with Celtic. And of course, if you wish to share the link of the Bhoycie Bus, that'd be fantastic on Twitter, Facebook, and any other social media platforms. And of course, above all else, especially if you're new to the bus, then hit the subscribe button, or else these three Christmas ghosts that are on the screen right now will come and haunt you on Christmas Eve. So we'll or maybe Mark, I say you've been saying on Twitter that you're going to crawl down the people's chimneys and take the Lynx Africa. So
I'll just crawl on the windies and steal their man's knickers out of knickers drawer.
You don't want that to happen.
That shows
Oh dear.
So that's
I've done it before. I'll do it again if I have to.
Yeah, don't make the judge do that, folks. Do not make him do it. But we'll get on with it, guys, because there is a lot to talk about. Because obviously, the World Cup's now over. Celtic are back in action. And here we are again. The last night, obviously, Russell and Terry, they went over the game. Victory over Livingston. The bottom line is we won. And we got the 3 points on the board. We put it back to a nice wee 9-point gap, keeping Rangers at arm's length. But of course, as is tradition for the last couple of months in Scottish football, it seems like Celtic cannot get a victory without something VARsical happening. And once again, that was the case. Now, obviously, the offside debate, offside, onside, that one was, Russell and Terry went over that quite extensively last night. I noticed in the chat as well during the PMP, it was quite a mixed bag. People were saying, look, it was offside at the end of the day. The issue is more just how long they got to come to the conclusion. Other people saying, no, it's definitely onside because it came into whole phases of play, and when the defender touches it, it changes the whole dynamic of it. But there's also another decision that didn't really get much airtime last night. So we'll go in the chronological order, the two big decisions. So there was a handball incident, it seems, where Hatate had a shot mark from outside the area. Livingston defender runs across the path of it. Now, yes, his arm is at his side, but he seems to change his body shape and slips as he does it, and the ball hits him in the arm. Now, going by the standard that we've seen in the last couple of months with handball decisions and VAR reviews giving handball decisions, what did you make of that one, Mark?
Mate, listen, see if it's a Celtic player, that's a penalty kick. You know what I mean? I don't hide what I think. They're dirty, cheating bastards. I said before months ago that VAR will be used as a mechanism for justifying bad decisions against Celtic. They'll use every nook, every cranny, every chapter 5, paragraph 46. They'll find ways of justifying bad decisions in the favour of our one club, and that's Rangers. Now, I don't mind putting myself out there as somebody who looks like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat and I'm paranoid. I don't think we're paranoid enough. I mean, see, Celtic players were table football men with their arms sellotaped to their fucking waist. We still get handballs against us. I mean, yesterday the guy, his arm was by his side, but he moved his body out the way towards where the ball was going. So basically, he's put himself in an unnatural position. He's actually moved his body so his arm could get in the way. Maybe that's a loophole. Maybe Celtic players should start just diving about with their arms sellotaped to their pockets. Maybe we'll get a few more decisions going our way. I thought the referee yesterday looked like a bit of a novice. I've never really seen much of the guy. I can't really remember seeing much of him, but he looked like a bit of a novice. He looked like he was just... I mean, there was even the first half, like there was so many minutes added on time, and they gave an extra 2 minutes on top of that as well. I know there was 2 goals, but you don't really see that with referees in Scotland. As soon as it's up, the game's up. Yeah. I just thought it was a penalty kick all day long, and we're beginning to see this playing out for what it is. I think almost every single match we're watching in Scottish football, Celtic are on the end of some very dubious decisions. See whether they're right or whether they're wrong. Seeing it comes down to the ones that are subjective, like the ones that are categorically a goal or not a goal, offside, no offside. Even they ones when it comes to Celtic are becoming controversial because the views or the angles aren't correct. The law is being interpreted by some sort of poetic license by the referees.
Mm-hmm.
Flip over to Ibrox and it's the opposite, where you're seeing decisions that are by the standards that have been set already, that are penalties all day long, and they're not getting given.
Aye.
Now, this is going to happen until Celtic grow up a pair of balls and say something, which they won't.
Yeah, of
but
course.
I think last night just showcased my biggest fears, mate, and that's that Celtic were 135 years playing 12 men, and now we need to figure a way out to playing 13 men.
13 men.
Up to now, we've done no bad at doing it, and they're going to need to find more ways of cheating Celtic if they want to win.
Aye, definitely reeks to that because, as I said earlier on, David, like when you look at some of the decisions that we've seen, the one that instantly stands out is just before the World Cup break, we had the Bernabei one where his arm was behind his back, and it would have been a real eagle eye to spot that one. So we've had that one. We've had the Matt O'Reilly handball, the one where he couldn't really do much about it. From close range, it was flicked up and hit his arm. And of course, the very first one, I feel like a broken record. I've went back to this example so many times. The Hearts game, the first game with VAR, Michael Smith's handball where it's extended out. He pulls it away when it hits his arm. He actually turns and the camera picks up the expression on his face where he knows, I fucked up here. Oh, I'm in trouble. And then, of course, it was just brushed away by the referee. So, yeah, David, where do you stand on the one last night with Hitate's shot? Because, as I say, we're looking at some of the standards of what's happened in the last few months since VARs came in. It's got to have been, the precedent's been set, but it just feels like every week it's changing. The rules are changing. Depending on what referee you get, they've got a different interpretation of the law, what a handball is in the box and what isn't. And that's just no good. No good at all.
If I'm being honest, when I was just watching on that stream last night, and if I'm being perfectly honest, when I first seen it, I didn't think it was a penalty. The reason I thought that was because I feel like the players are now, because of the precedent's been set by the referees, that the players don't know where their hands are allowed to be and where they're not allowed to be. I felt that, personally, when I watched it, I thought the boy had his arm by his side and he's tried to chase the ball but trying to keep his arms in at his side, which has created almost an unnatural position. So when I first seen it, I almost went, there was a lot of part of me that went, you know what, I'm actually not too fussed that that's not been a penalty, because I started to think myself, maybe the refs have had a think over the rule over the break. But then I've watched it again on replays and on Twitter and stuff, and the more I look at it, I can see where Mark's coming from with it. It does look like it's rolled down his arm. I actually feel like the bigger penalty decision over the last couple of games midweek was the one that was more of an obvious penalty decision that was missed, was the one, and I'm not just saying it because it's Rangers, but the one that the hit was at Tavernier. His arm was almost like this and it bounced off his arm like that. That to me is a more unnatural position.
Comment there about that one.
Yeah. So I felt that Tavernier's arm was like this, whereas the other boy, the Livingston boy, arm was down here. So I could almost see, I could almost see why the ref didn't give that decision. But whether the ref didn't give the decision or not, the point is that's where VAR has to step in and go, yeah, you might need to look at that one. That one's more up for interpretation, I felt, than Tavernier's one was. I always try to look at it and go, how would I feel if that was a Celtic player that's handled that ball? Now, I'd say I would swear on Mark's side in terms of it probably would have been a penalty if it was a Celtic player. I would have felt really hard done by, to be honest, if it was given against us. It's just it's one of these. It's got to the point now because of the decision making that's been happening. It's so inconsistent that it's causing me to question my own interpretation of what the handball rule is, and now I don't know whether I agree with it being a penalty or not being a penalty. I actually can't make up my mind. It's become so confusing. The biggest issue, though, Phil, is, and I'm jumping ahead to the other VAR decision, which I know we'll go more into discussion about, but these guys are supposed to know the rules inside out. We as fans think we know the rules, and these guys are meant to have studied the rules. They're meant to know it inside out. I was speaking to my mate on Xbox last night after the game. He was, because I said I wasn't going to come on. I jumped on and he was like, "How was the game?" He's like, I heard he's had a weird decision. Now he's got no affiliation with Celtic whatsoever. He's actually a Fife fan for his sins.
Okay.
But he's a mad football fan, and I said to him, "Well, this is what happened in the game. Avada was in an offside position when the ball was played to him. However, the defender clearly tried to head to the ball, realised Avada was in offside position, and made a mess of it.
Yep.
And then he ran through and goal and scored right away. Now he's not seen the game. This is all on an Xbox Live Party. That should have been that should have stood then, should it not?
Well, Man City scored a goal like that, and it stood.
Yeah,
and the game that's on right now.
And now we've got and then we're getting told, no, actually, the letter of the law is it's actually still offside, right? Well, if that is the rule, what was the 4-minute discussion about? What was the 4-minute discussion about?
Aye.
What are they doing?
The very first picture, he was offside by about.
I mean, he was offside when the ball was played, but if the defenders played the ball, is that not, as far as my interpretation of the rules were, he's played a bad on because he's touched the ball.
Well, see, that's the case, you can sit 40 yards for your goal, right? And if there's somebody behind you, you could just take a chance of playing a 40-yard pass back to your keeper. And then if it goes away and goes scoot with, if it goes to the opposition player, it doesn't matter. He's got to be offside anyway. In fact, it's a perfect way of breaking the play up. Just hit the ball towards him, and they'll be offside every time. Anytime you see a striker preparing for a long ball for a keeper, he'll be in an offside position, then he'll run back out in an onside position. So
when are you going to make the refs up? That's the question.
If you want to defend the lead, all you got to do is wait till your strikers behind you and just pass the ball back to the goalkeeper. As soon as he moves to approach that keeper, and the keeper either hits it off him or it goes towards him and he kicks the ball. It's free kick, offside. If that's the case, listen, if it's a pass back, he made an arse of it, and the player latched in and scored. That's no offside. I want to see what rules has been changed, because there was a game at Man City a few weeks ago. The goal was online just now. I saw it about an hour ago on Twitter. The exact same thing happened in the Man City game. Man City scored and the goal stood. Now, we don't have different rules in Scotland for in England. We're under the one banner. You know what I mean? It's like, see the handball with Tavernier. See, in my eyes, that isn't a penalty, right? But see with these interpretations, what's happening in Scotland just now, that is a penalty. But it's just not a penalty when it happens to a Rangers player.
When you put it side by side with the Barnaby's penalty decision, it's a stone waller.
Yeah.
Listen, we saw with Steve McLean, and I think it was beaten 2 weeks in a row, vice versa, doing 2 Celtic games. One with the ref, one was the VAR, and the following week was. Yeah. And the exact same incident happened on both times, and they came to a different conclusion on the 2 different occasions. And see, the two decisions were both against Celtic. They went against Celtic, and the exact same fucking comedy act found a way of cheating Celtic. Listen, it's almost at a stage now. I was saying that last in my work in the day. I was like, we're in work and we spoke about the game, and we didn't even mention the stuff we just mentioned about. And I said to a couple of hours later, I went, it's at the stage now where it's not even worth talking about anymore. You're like, it's that blatant. It's people say it's a conspiracy. See, a conspiracy, it requires more than 2 people to form some sort of secret. There's nothing secret here. It's happening in front of 60,000 fans and a TV audience of maybe 500,000. Yeah. We can all see it. You don't need to piss on my head and tell me it's raining. I know for a fact. If you're a referee in this country, you're almost certain to have been brought up a football fan. You don't fall into a refereeing position by accident. You've been playing football all your life. You haven't been good enough, and you decided to get into refereeing. That brings allegiances. You support one team, right? Yeah. And my grand always said, there's 2 fans in this country. You either support Celtic or you don't. It's as simple as that, right? Yeah. If you're a fucking Hearts fan, you hate Celtic. A Dundee fan, you hate Celtic. They all hate Celtic. I can't really give a fuck. But you can't tell me guys like Beaton got to a game at Ibrox about 5 times he was sent off a Rangers player. Rangers won the match by a ball's hair. The guy put his denims on and his jacket on in a taxi and went to a Rangers supporters club for a drink that same night. Yep. That was in the papers the next day, and the cunt is still refereeing Rangers games. In fact, the next game we've got to Ibrox is a very crucial game for us, and that guy's going to go to the park. They will throw every dice at us
Mark, did you did you watch the World Cup final? Did you watch
I
it?
watched it, mate. I missed probably about 40 minutes of it, mate. I was dozing on that.
So the referee that was in charge of that game, he's an ex-professional player at a pretty high standard, right? How did you feel his refereeing performance was?
I thought he was good, mate, but he was unbiased. I thought the guy was good. I don't
see why. I think it should be required. I think we stop looking at these let's face it, amateur players that never made it, guys that never made it as a professional football player. I don't see, rather than going in the coach, if you don't fancy going into coaching, you don't fancy going, into management
or something like rather than that push. Because
start looking into becoming a referee. If you're a professional football player, you look at there's players that have played for both sides of Glasgow that have apparently supported the opposite side. There's players that have played for lots of different clubs. Like look at players like down south that have played for clubs that that they're a diehard Liverpool fan and they've played for Man United or Man City or whatever, right? They're professional enough to play the game as a job. It's a job to them at the end of the day. I honestly believe that a referee can do the exact same thing. If they're
I don't think this country, we are so suspicious in this country, David, mate. I don't think, see, even that road you're talking about, I agree. I think ex-football players, they've got a different prism.
More of a common sense. Process, almost a common sense of playing the game.
Better than me and you and Phil Lover know, right, about how football is being played. But I think, just if I talk to the referees such and such on Saturday, all you go to do is Google him, his Wikipedia, and he's maybe played for Rangers at under 11s. And see, in my mind, he's a Rangers fan, right? That's that in my mind, right? And that's never going to go away, right? Okay. I think this country is so suspicious by nature, especially when it comes to football. I mean, you tell somebody your second name and the first thing they think about is about school he went to. That's the sort of thing, right? Aye. Yep. That's a fact, you know what I mean? And I think we tried it for 1 week and it's for different reasons, but I personally think if Celtic can buy a Spanish goalkeeper, the country can bring in foreign referees. There's nothing. Yep. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll give you a fact here, right? And this is undisputed. FIFA and UEFA admit there's bias because see if England's playing Spain tomorrow in the World Cup, it's within their rule book that a Spanish or English official can't referee that match.
That's true.
It's not because they think, okay, I'll just make common sense. They just think it's just causes so much trouble and it might lead to inherent bias for that country.
Yeah.
And that's admitting that referees will not referee a match with untotal bias, with untotal neutrality. It's impossible. Human nature is get bias running through its veins. Everyone is getting bias running through our veins.
Aye,
you know what I mean? Simple as that. Your main brings you hearing this a drawing of a fucking ball. It looks like scribbled with circles and a lot of shit. You think it looks like Picasso. You know what I mean? When really it's a lot of shit.
Aye.
But it's a fact, mate. You know what I mean? UEFA admit that, FIFA admit that. And I don't think for a minute. I mean, you look at I know I'm going off on a tangent here, right? Which isn't going to surprise many folk. But see, the minute we stop fucking moaning about this shit is the minute we just lie back and get our bellies tickled after this mob every week. And I'm certainly not accepting that, mate. No. Celtic's performance last night was as such that the referee couldn't have stopped us. We didn't finish our chances. This is the difference. What's happening just now is the system we are playing and the domination we are showing. Although we'll get back to the domination in the last two games in a minute, if we don't mind. As of such that it's going to take more than VAR and referees to stop us over a long period. But what it can do is change the outcome of individual matches, and it can make things difficult for Celtic. I mean, we're only going to look at the Hearts game that David mentioned there, or it must have been making you, Phil. The VR was in the building half an hour, and already contrived to key apparently against Celtic. Stop us for getting one, and then the second half make another cunt to it. All within the fucking first half an hour of the thing being in the country. And the saying goes, get used to it, but I certainly won't.
No, definitely not. And this comment that I brought up, this is a running theme I found with Celtic as well. And Brown Warrior says about the lines for the offsides. The curious case of the missing lines, it always feels like when there's a Celtic offside decision, See, VAR's been around now on these shows, like in English football, for 4 or 5 years now. Every time there's an offside, they give the viewing audience the benefit of seeing the line across the park, or if so in the World Cup, some sort of fancy graphics. I'm not expecting that, but I'm expecting to see some sort of line so I know how they judged it. But it always feels like when Celtic are involved, the lines just seem to vanish. We had in the very first game with it, we had the Leela Bada goal in the last minute, which might very well have been offside, but they didn't do any favours by just telling us it's offside and showing us one replay with no lines across the park. We did see some lines in that game to prove that Lawrence Shankland was onside to score his second goal. We had the Jota goal at Motherwell, where they had the camera from the far side to judge it. The camera that was at his side was conveniently not pointing in the right direction, so we got no lines there to benefit it. And last night as well, the curious case of the missing lines. Where are they all going? It's just one after another.
But nobody's moaning about that. See,
the club should be coming out and saying something. They've got to.
Celtic, see, since they scored a 95th minute winner against Rangers in January 2nd, and then a VAR replay showed we were half a yard offside. I put my hands up and go like that. Fair enough. And I would do that every single week of the year. But we're not getting decisions that are very, very like okay, black and white. That was a bad decision. The referee's wrong. Celtic should be punished, but have their goal rescinded or whatever. It's not like that. Almost every decision that we're flagging up has been real fucking jaw droppers. I mean, really jaw dropping decisions. And people say it's happening, it's Stephen problems. I've not seen it happen to Kilmarnock or Dundee or fucking anybody else.
No, really?
It's happened to us constantly. And I tell you, the common denominator is the fact that every single one I look at and my jaw drops, they're all against Celtic. Every fucking one of them, man.
I don't know if you saw today, there was an article released today, that apparently the Premier League referees down south have come out and admitted to 7 game-changing decisions that they got wrong.
That wouldn't happen in Scotland, David.
VAR was brought out to stop these game-changing decisions that are getting wrong.
Is that just this season, David, or is that over the whole time that VAR's been down?
I think it's just been this season. It's just been for this season because I think it focused a lot on. I think there was a Gabriel Martinelli goal that should have been offside. And I didn't read the full article. I just seen the headline, so I'm headline grabbing here. But I saw it when I was on my break today.
I seen there was
7 major game-changing decisions. Not we decisions, game-changing.
One was a Man U game, wasn't it, or something? Was it one a Man U Liverpool game or something? A big game, I'm pretty sure.
So basically, this whole question is VAR's not the problem. It's like people that are operating it.
Well, see, the thing is, I genuinely think there's 2 ways we can solve this paranoia we've all got. We'll call it paranoia to be generous to them, right? I just call it cheating. You either make the audio completely like transparent, right? Where we can all hear the audio, right? Or there's a representative for each club and amongst the 4 or 5 chairs that are watching the VAR monitors in that fucking Cameron House, whatever it is, I'll fucking watch the match.
Well, Mark,
Regan in there. We were just saying Regan in there.
I was saying Regan in there, infiltrate them. But Mark, I don't know if this will surprise you, but I was watching this morning. I was watching the Celtic Way, and Sean Martin mentioned that Gary Neville once let the cat out of the bag that in England the commentators can actually hear the referees' discussion when they're discussing VAR.
Yeah, I can believe that. They seem to know the decisions. They already seem to start reeling the decision making. When I've been watching it,
Aye.
Well, they was talking about
here, will we?
Because they've got that other correspondent, I think, in there. It's usually like a, Jeff, what's his name? They always kind of go to him, and he explains. Well, the decision was because Jack Grealish was in an offside position when the ball was played in the third phase of the fucking 46th second. You're just like, what? Right, okay.
Aye. We're not going to get the benefit of that. But David, earlier on, you were talking about, these referees and how they're meant to interpret the rules and stuff. I've said this story before on the bus, but again, it just highlights again just the incompetence of what we're up against when it comes to them knowing the rules. Because I've said this a while back, a few years ago, a guy that I worked with, he also had a UEFA B licence. He is part of Glasgow Unis. He coaches their football team, and he had to do his UEFA B licence. And part of it was refereeing decisions. Because obviously, if you're going to be a manager or a coach, you've got to understand the rules if you're going to challenge a referee. And one of our current in this league Category 1 referees came to do the course with them. And at one point during it was like a whole bunch of examples of like, fouls and incidents on the park. He showed them like these videos, and there was this one from a Champions League game like Bayern and Arsenal. And so he goes round everybody in the room and says, so what would you interpret? What would you think that'd be? And everyone was like, I don't know, a bit of handbags, maybe a booking at best. No, the general consensus was at worst, maybe a booking. And said referee was like, well, it's actually a red card. And then they're like, okay, why is it a red card? And the gist of the answer was, because it just is. It's like, well, you're meant to be the Category 1 referee. You're the one that's come to teach people how the rules are interpreted. And you haven't even went to the benefit to find out from UEFA or whoever it is that passes these rules down, why is it a red card? You're just going to tell everyone in the room, UEFA have just said they're red cards now, so we're just going to go with it.
Phil, you lost me when they used a game in the Champions League as if any fucking ref from our league would ever get the chance to referee at that sort of. To pick a game of that magnitude when they're just not at that level to be even being allowed to even watch the game without a ticket, never mind fucking referee it. So,
well, they're part-time for a start. I mean, the referees in Scotland, I know they've all got higher paid jobs, but it's like $1.50 a match in Scotland to referee. It should be full-time. And I've heard people like Hugh Keeves talk on the radio about still going to give you a better eyesight. There's nobody on the planet that's ever got worse by practice.
Yep.
If you're doing 5 days a week, running through drills, going to Celtic, go to Lennoxtown, Murray Park, go to them all, oversee training, and get involved in the bounce matches, just referee every day of the week, as much as like a 9-to-5 job. You're only going to get better. Nobody gets worse with practice, mate. No matter what you do, you can't get worse with practice. It's simple as that. But in this country, we seem to just accept the fact that we can pay somebody a very good wage, and they can sit down and tell us, look, I know what I do this full time because my real job pays me too much money.
Yeah.
You're either committed to the job or you're no. It's as simple as that. And it just shows you how small-minded this country is, but that's acceptable. I mean, football must be it's the biggest pastime hobby in this country.
Yeah.
It brings in hundreds of millions of pounds a year to the economy. Celtic and Rangers are one of the biggest tourist attractions in the country. And yet we still find ways to make this country look small time when it comes to the Premier Sport. And that doesn't surprise anybody. The Scottish Cup starting, and by the way, Nick hasn't even noticed it. It's not even got a sponsor.
As bad as being just the Scottish Cup.
It's not got a sponsor. I mean, the sponsor we had there was that small time when the League Cup. It's changed names twice.
It's now Viaplay instead of Premier Sport.
By the time you go to the match, it'll fucking be the Lego fucking semi-final or something. I mean,
I might jump in there and grab that sponsor if it's still available.
Oh, go on.
Do you even get a cut price?
Don't listen. Corner Cars get a sponsorship deal with a merchandise shop as it is. We can't even put a sell out there anymore. You know what I mean? All the retro tops are available on all the websites.
And I do believe as well.
What you're suggesting, right, about the communication thing between the referee and the boy in the VAR room, that's not difficult for them to work out.
No.
I don't imagine it would cost them any extra, like to just mic up and let us hear the communication, just so we could go. Was that a handball? Was that an offside? No, it wasn't offside because the letter of the law says the boy was blah blah blah. And us as viewers would go, all right, okay, fair enough, stupid rule, but fair enough, right? If that's the rule, that's the fucking rule. Whereas we're sitting here for 4 minutes going, what are they talking about? Why is the referee having to go? Why is the ref going to the monitor? Why is the ref going to the monitor?
See if you're at the match, you're fucked. See, unfortunately, football's turned into a sport for the armchair fan. See if you're at Celtic Park last night. See, forget the fact that one of the TVs was broke in the Johnstone stand, so we only one TV. You're paying a lot of money, right, to go and watch Celtic play. You're the last person to find out what's happening in VAR. Somebody in fucking Hong Kong can tell you what's happening before you could. And that's ridiculous. Sport's already turned into a commercial thing. But it's going to the stage now where the last person to think about is a guy sitting in the pissing rain in a plastic chair. Now it's about drawing lines for the people at home. No telling the fans. I mean, heaven forbid if you're at a stadium like fucking St Johnstone and you've only got that wee digital scoreboard that left on side. it'll probably just say VAR check. You probably don't get much information other than that.
Mhm. Yep.
Celtic Park's the same. You get the VAR thing flash up, just tells you offside. No communication, no nothing, no fucking nothing. You know what I mean? And it's so simple. All you got to do is share audio. Press a button and share audio. It makes you think when people are being secretive about something, it's because of a secret.
Yeah.
We should have independent people, one for each club, one for Celtic, Rangers, anybody who's played each other should be sitting in amongst and be privy to all conversations. They'll get people sitting in the stand watching the referee's performance. I've never once saw any of the performances reviews being publicised. Every one of them should be put in public. If there's a lower V Strand Raw, that match commander, that match analyser's report should be available on the SFA website the following Monday morning for anybody to look at the referee's performance. Now, are we trying to say that referees were that grateful to them that one, we should pay them a lot of money, two, we shouldn't ask them to be full time, and three, they shouldn't be criticised or analysed or background checked?
Yeah.
Are we just to sit there and just to say you can ruin a person's career? Your decisions can be the straw that breaks the camel's back, relegates a club, sacks a manager, puts 10 part-time players on the brew. But nobody's got the right to fucking analyse your performance. And the minute you do, you've got the Daily Records saying the Celtic Football Club are going to have the game stopped in this country because the day referees left over a decision that I might add years ago, where the linesman had to grass in the referee for
Stephen Craven and Dougie McDonald.
They told him to lie. The guy get caught telling the linesman to lie. Just to get a penalty. That's only happened 10 years. That didn't happen in 1931. That's happened 10 years ago. And instead of the papers saying, right, let's just get a full investigation at how Scottish football is run, tap the bottom, find out where this came from. Why this referee was so comfortable to walk into somebody, knowing he's mic'd up, knowing that his boss can hear it, and anybody with a headphone can hear it. And he still had the balls to say, look, if MD asks, just say you flagged offside there. Or that, I mean, he was that comfortable in his position that he thought he could walk in there with a microphone on, with two people in the stadium could hear. And that's how comfortable that was. That's happened 10 years ago.
But keep in mind, Mark, we were made out to be the bad guys by the media. We forced a strike by the referees. Big bad Celtic. And it's like, we did the right thing.
David, that just shows you how bad it is. See, about 25 years ago, there was articles in the press, and they actually had to publicise an apology. I think it might have been Hugh Keevins, funnily enough, right? And they publicised an apology. I think they wrote lies about Martin O'Neill, and it was on page 4. So Celtic actually banned the Daily Records for attending Celtic Park. I think it only lasted like a week or so. See the back page of that match? It matches. It was a black picture, just black, saying this is the view of Celtic Park. Due to the pettiness of Celtic, blah blah blah. That's how we were treated in that situation. Fast forward to 2012, the Daily Record banned Rangers. So know what they did? They sent in their chief reporter to go in and do hospitality. He done a undercover hospitality report on Rangers, and then posted pictures of himself with the director's box behind him, taking photographs, and you can see directors behind him. One of them clocked the guy, and it's almost like they were saying to the public, look, you know, stop us for going to watch a football team. You know, stop us for getting to Ibrox and watching their team play. That's how they handled that report, that story. But they handled Celtic with a legitimate complaint, which actually resulted in an apology. They still had the fucking cheek to. Somebody must remember this. It was either a white or just a black page. The back page, it just said, "This is the view of Celtic Park because we're banned due to the pettiness of Celtic, etc., etc." That's the same paper, by the way. Quickly, see when the Jim Farry stuff. Anybody that doesn't know, the guy had the charge of the SFA. He gets sacked. He lost his job because he get caught withholding registration for a Celtic
George
player.
Cadet, yep.
Right, okay. So see when Fergus McCann took this guy to the court about this, the Daily Record posted a picture of Saddam Hussein and Fergus McCann with the headlines saying one of these is an evil dictator. The other one,
the other Saddam Hussein.
The other Saddam Hussein.
I remember
And
that.
by the way, I remember the Sun put a photograph of Neil Lennon and Bin Laden and said, "What's Bin Laden and Neil Lennon got in common?" There was a wee snippets about what they've got in common.
Oh my!
This is the fucking. This is the shit. After I pure fucking rabbit hole here. This is the shit we put in this country. Then they sit and tell us we're paranoid.
Yep.
I know. Just again quickly, you can sit there. You see if you're a Dundee fan, you could phone up after me sitting moaning about Celtic not getting decisions, and you could say, "Try being a Dundee fan," and on the panel will agree with you on Clyde One, whatever. So you can sit and infer bias towards Celtic and Rangers. And that's fine. I mean, even I've seen the managers sitting on radio stations and going like, "Oh fuck it, yeah, beat the Celtic part and get a decision." And you can say that, and it's met with nods, which infers bias of some level.
Yeah,
that's a fact. You can't deny that's what's happened. That's what's been said there. But the minute you say that there's one against Celtic towards Rangers, you're wearing tinfoil hats. This isn't a one-off occurrence. This is 135 years of bullshit. And see the new there's more and more camera angles. Nothing's new about this. It's just more and more ways we're finding out that this is set up.
The fact that there's no camera angles in this country is a myth, by the way. There's no more camera angles in our game. I'm sorry.
No,
there's none.
Yeah.
They're saying that we've got all these VR angles to look at.
No.
Point to one new angle that we haven't seen before VAR came into this country, and that'll explain to you why there's no fucking lines getting shown, because it's the same fucking cameras.
Yeah, so they haven't got the capability to show it. But as Paul Dyer says here, we just need to keep winning.
Pointing at fucking Livingston's dugout or Motherwell's dugout. It's the only fucking new camera angle I've seen.
Aye, that's right. I put in the wrong direction conveniently that night. But as Paul Dyer said, we just need to keep winning despite the officials, and that's all we can do. But David, just going back to something that Mark had said earlier on about, nobody gets worse at anything when they practice it. Well, let's talk about a bit of practice, because our strikers seem to be lacking a little bit of practice. That'll lead us on to the other big talking point at Celtic at the moment with the Giakouamkis thing. So last night, obviously, there was a bit of a rinse and repeat going on where we kept playing the same ball across the box through the 6-yard area, and it felt like none of our forwards were anticipating, namely our centre forward on the night, Kyogo. Eventually, he did anticipate one and did get on the end of it. Ironically, though, the first time we did have success with it was a Livingston player putting it in his own net. Now, obviously, the fallout from this is I was a tidy finish, fair play to the big man, because I thought it was from where I was sitting, I thought Matt O'Reilly scored because Matt O'Reilly was in the line with him, so I thought it was him. I didn't even notice the Livingston player had put it in the net, but obviously the fallout now is there's again this debate going on about Giakouamkis, Kyogo, who should start. There's been an Instagram post today. It could mean anything. We're not going to really say it definitely means this, but many people are jumping to the conclusion with a little egg timer emoji that it's like he's ticking down to an event, something happening. Some people are saying, is it because he's going to start at the weekend? I don't know. I mean, would you really put that up there? I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it he's going to leave? But David, where do you stand on this one just now with Giakouamkis, Kyogo? Are they both out of form? Is one getting preferential treatment? What's your feelings on it all, mate?
So it's a difficult one to really put your finger on it with Kyogo, especially. The thing with Kyogo is he's still our top goal scorer. He's still got 12 goals out of, was it 15 games or something like that? 15 Premiership games, right? So you could argue that he's not technically he's not out of form. However, he certainly should be putting more of these chances away. That the amount of chances that we create, he's certainly got to be putting more of them away. It's always been the case with Kyogo. I feel like Kyogo, when he first came into the scene, he really set a really high standard for himself that I think he was only going to anything that hasn't matched the standard he's brought. It's going to almost come across like second season syndrome a little bit. He's certainly lacking confidence. I also just think, is he overthinking and things? I don't like. Ange obviously was clearly not happy with him. I mean, I think that was a complete aim at Kyogo last night, that it was unacceptable that we weren't in the positions that we should be, and we work on this on training all the time.
Yeah. So
the argument is Kyogo shouldn't be starting anymore, but when he does start at the end of the day, he's still getting on the score sheet. Not as often as he should be, though, and that is the issue. My thing with I have with Ange's decision not to play Giakouamkis isn't that he's not starting him. It's It's not really the fact he's not starting that I have an issue with. I don't believe it's a big enough drop-off. I don't believe it's a big enough drop-off in player, either of them, coming on for each other. I feel that the lack of time that Giakouamkis has been given is the real hindrance. You're not telling me we can't play Kyogo for the start, and then if he is going to start, play him for 50 minutes. If he's not scored, you bring on Giakouamkis. It's not a drop-off in standard of player, I don't believe. If anything, you could argue he's a better player, depending on what side of the fence you sit on. Whether it's Giakouamkis that starts or Gigi, there is enough game time there for them both to share. But right now, Giakouamkis isn't getting that fair share of the crack of the whip. It's the biggest issue for Giakouamkis, and you might have hit the nail on the head in the group chat, Mark, was that he isn't quite. He didn't play in the J League. And I think it's almost like
he's just not Japanese enough.
I was going to let you say it.
No, fuck it. He's just not Japanese enough. I'll say aye.
But this is a theory that I have on the Giakouamkis thing, and I did say this in the group chat today. Was Ange has made it quite clear in the AGM meetings that don't get attached to players. I've got this is my game plan. I'm buying players that I believe is going to make us a quick profit. That's going to make an impact enough that we can make a quick profit on them, and then I can buy another player from that. Juranovic is one of those players. Matt O'Reilly is probably one of those players. I think Gigi was always one of those players. Giakouamkis, whether you like it or not, apart from that one season he had in Holland, he's not done much. He hasn't done much, right? He had a bit of a purple patch in Holland that was going to get a £12 million move. They got relegated. That became a £2 million player. Yeah, I think Ange just went, he'll do the business in Scotland for a year and a half, and I'll flip him. And I think that's always been the game plan with Giakouamkis. I think that's almost why Kyogo gets the preferential treatment, because if he's going to keep one of them, he's keeping Kyogo. I think he sees more of a profit in selling Giakouamkis, a Greek international that he can move on in Europe, maybe a bit easier than say a Kyogo. I think that's it. I think it's been we're getting a £12 million player that I'll get for 2, and I could probably sell him for 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'll buy another player, say this, who's going to make just as good an impact, and I'll probably do the same with him. Mm-hmm. Maybe this Korean lad. Yeah. That's my theory on it. I just think Giakouamkis has always been a short-term plan for Ange, and that's why we're not seeing as much of him. However, that doesn't excuse the fact that he's not giving Giakouamkis enough game time than he certainly deserves. We don't know what's happening in training, whether maybe Giakouamkis isn't coming across well enough in training. That's given. I'm just thinking. I'm trying to rack my brains as to why a player with such a good goal to game ratio isn't getting the same crack of the whip as a boy that's, you could argue, is not on form despite still getting on the score sheet every week.
Yeah. It's weird because we're definitely lacking in the forward department, as you say. As a guy sitting there on the bench for a really good goal to game ratio, but most times he's coming on this season, he's getting not much time, or he comes on with the sort of second string guys. He doesn't get to play alongside the first string guys. Mark, earlier on I saw a tweet that said Giakouamkis, Ange only really used him when he had to use him, because obviously in the second half of last season, when he did rack up all of those goals to get him the joint golden boot with Regan Charles Cook, it was because he had to play him and to win us the league as well. But this season, obviously, the two of them have been pretty much fit along the way, side by side. Kyogo's always getting the sort of preferential treatment there. Do you think that is the case where he's made it quite clear from day one, you're the number 2 choice? It was just a case of last season he was a means to an end because he was the only thing available, but now that both of them are available, it's Kyogo all the time.
Mate, listen, see Maeda, right? I saw more football talent in an old age pensioner sitting waiting a bus than Dyson Maeda. But see Ange,
mate.
Here we go.
Ange will drop Jota, one of the best technical football players I've ever seen in a Celtic strip. Ange will drop Jota for Maeda for one reason and one reason only. He wants to showcase Japan and the football talent as best they can. Simple as that. And he's got a winning formula where he can do it without it affecting the team as much. So he gets away with it. David mentioned Ange there, right? A few weeks ago, Ange said on a press conference that, well, we need to get used to. I'm paraphrasing because he didn't actually say that, but he says something along the lines where we're going to start selling players and things like that.
It was the EGM.
So that's just how fucking warped, how crazy we've all got now behind Ange that he's managed to convince the full Celtic support with one sentence that selling your best players halfway through a season is a good fucking idea. That's just how crazy it is.
GG's not one of our best players, mate.
See if any player in the park was like that way with Celtic. Just say, for instance, Matt Riley was going to be leaving next week.
Yep.
See the minute that story hit the papers, you'd have folks saying in podcasts, folks saying on Twitter, oh, Ange warned us about this. It's part of the process. Like, we are fucking idiots. We don't understand that, right? Yeah. Celtic are the same club before Ange walked in the doors, but we are just new. Nothing's changed because he's there. If we get players, we get a good market value for them, a good offer, they're sold. And that's happened for Celtic the day they were formed. Just because Ange sat in a press conference last month and said this is going to be happening, doesn't mean it's a good idea. You tell me one set of fans in the world that are delighted or happy or buzzing about selling their best players because one guy sat in a press conference and said this might be happening. Nobody's questioning the merits of selling players halfway through a season or our best players looking disenfranchised or looking out of form because of speculation on transfers, because one person says this is the way it's going to be. Does that sound fucking googly-eyed there just now? This guy.
I don't believe Gigi's going to go anywhere, Mark. Do you think Gigi's going to go in January?
I didn't think he was until I saw his face for the team bus last week. I saw him last night, 86 minute, he come on. I think he's getting totally disrespected by the setup just now at Celtic Park. I think he come on last night for the sake of it. I think when and I tell you something now, Phil, you were at the games. I didn't go last night. I wasn't feeling so good. I heard Celtic fans on my iPad moaning at Moy for running wide about 5-6 minutes to go. Listen, when you bring on a midfielder of Moyes and Turnbull, you're bringing A2 on to slow the midfield up. So don't sit there as a fan base and moan at these players for slowing the midfield up when that decision has been made by the manager. That game was slowed down in midfield by the decision to bring the A2 on. Yep. The A2 are midfielders that slow the game up. That's a fact. So that's a decision made by the manager to bring the A2 on, right? So don't sit there and moan at the players who are doing exactly what they're told today. Because that's exactly what Moy does, and that's exactly what Turnbull does.
Aye.
Turnbull takes 5 touches for a 5-yard pass. And that's been his game for, rightly or wrongly, that is what he does. So when he's brought on the park, he's brought on for a reason. To slow up midfield, slow it down a bit, and maybe start creating bodies moving around about him. And Moy, we all know he's on for. He does these funny bits and does the odd chip at the tap that runs into the
Mark Gigi at the game the other night.
You know what? I was going to say that because you said that last night in the chat, David. You nailed it. Moy did a great job of marking Giakouamkis all right because it felt like there was 2 or 3 incidents where he just crossed over him when he was going to shoot.
That's the thing.
I mean, middle of the park, he looked like he wanted to batter him. Like
the World Cup's over, so what's the obligation to play him now? Because we're not going to get a resale value on him. He's going to sign a 1-year contract. So whatever Ange want to get out of him getting his World Cup berth, it's over now. I mean,
Moy is just doing the beat-on job.
What I said, his in-game management is not very good. His in-game management leaves a lot to be desired. I think the guy's team building is top notch. His coaching is phenomenal. The way he gets Celtic playing is fucking the best I've seen since maybe the last 20 years. Some of the best football I've seen, right? But one thing's for sure, his in-game management isn't over Brendan Rodgers or even a Gordon Strachan, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of times Gordon Strachan and Brendan Rodgers can win you a match at a touchline. I'm not entirely sure he's got the personnel to do it, but I'm not entirely sure whether his game management's all that great. I think I've seen Celtic playing games and I know his philosophy is a certain way, but we're getting tortured with this balls at the back, especially down one side of the pitch. And we will constantly play ourselves into trouble. I'm not saying you revert to 40-yard passes, but it's a one system, which has permutations and different ways of doing it, but it's one system, it's one way, and that's it. And I think that can go against us sometimes. That's just kind of fun. But anyway, Giakouamkis is off scheme, mate. I mean, 8 minutes to go, bring them on. I mean, he brought on Turnbull and Moy for about 25 minutes, half an hour, and then brings that man on. Listen, respect the guy for what he did last year. See if he's no part of plans, do the decent thing and just take him right out of the squad altogether and say, just sit there till January 1st, and the club you're going to will sign you up. Because can I tell you something right now? See if Juranovic and Giakouamkis are going to leave. See, last year, Angie's very first derby match, we played Ryan Christie and Edward the day before the two of them got sold, and that was one of the worst decisions we made last season, was playing they two. Playing two players the day before the goal was a bad mistake by the club. Two reasons: they could have got injured, right? But the second reason was they don't put the same shift in. They've got one eye in their move, and if you get two players who have got one eye in their move playing in a very, very big match for Celtic, I'd rather they sat in the house and watched it. In my opinion, I think Giakouamkis I've got fears for Kyogo playing like Ibrox to boys. That can be swallowed up. Every time somebody falls in the ground, he's trying to shampoo their hair for them. You know what I mean? I think Giakouamkis needs to play these games. But I think if he's going to go, don't play him.
But Gigi might start. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Ange.
He should play. He's a better player.
Sorry?
He should play. He's a better player. Kyogo's not played a derby match this season for Celtic. We've won. Every match he's played against Rangers, we've not won.
Yeah, it's
we've won when he's been involved is when they lasted 13 seconds and Giakouamkis come on for him.
Aye. Giakouamkis is showing that they don't know how to defend against him. They can't handle him. Yep.
Their two centre backs are occupied for the full 90 minutes when he's there. They've got a big problem doing the left hand side now. They've got a boy with red hair. I don't think you see a boy with ginger hair playing for Rangers, but I don't know. But anyway, he see any long ball up on that side of the pitch, he can't handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, and Giakouamkis will turn that boy all day. And who's going to play in January 2nd where he's aware? No, it's Kyogo. Unless Kyogo gets injured, God forbid, that man's starting. And I'll get fears of that because that guy will just swallow him up. And then see the atmosphere, they'll run through him. They'll sharpen their studs to try and break that boy's legs. And see when they miss, he'll give him a pat in the head.
Oh, that yeah.
And that does matter.
Don't see that. Yeah.
You've got
leave them be.
the exact same thing. Maeda's a bit more nasty. He'd walk away from him, but the other two are trying to give him cuddles and draw wee pictures for them.
Dr. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's one of the things that I seen last season that the Rangers fans, there was an instant in the semi-final where Aribo went to pick one of our players up, and one of them said, "No, leave him." And I'm like, I wish our players would just do that. Just leave them down, let them roll about and do whatever. Just let them down there. What I've seen out of the chat is we'll do that thing. We'll do the quick fire sort of like get your points in because obviously we're coming up to an hour. We'll want to get
before
that
you do that. Before you do that, Phil, I just wanted to say, that Instagram post today, I didn't fully interpret it as he's leaving or it's a time sticking. I'm leaving. Yeah. I generally believe Ange had a word with him and said, "You're going to start the next game. I'm going to release you." And I think Gigi's aware of that. There's fans out there like Mark and like a lot of fans. They want to see him start. I think it's almost like he's in almost a promo, almost a wee promo, a wee WWE promo of it, as in like,
yep.
My time's now. I'm coming. Just be patient. I'm coming, and I will make my mark.
Yeah.
I think that's why
he's got a knock. And he's just trying to get himself back into his swing of things. Do something. See if we had fan access tomorrow. Don't know what I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask Angie's favourite pizza shop in Glasgow. I'd say, Ange, quick question. Can you tell me where Kyogo's Giakouamkis' head is at? Is talks ongoing for a new contract, or is he looking to leave? That's what I would ask.
Yeah.
But do you know something? No press is going to ask him it, right? And there's any of these media guys, these fan media guys. I hate using that term because they're not media. Media's a profession.
No. Fans. The first word was right.
Fans.
Yep.
Sorry, but get on with the questions. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I was just going to say to the folk in the chat, just try and do the sort of like get your points in. Stubbsy's horse. I'm looking at you in particular because you give us jip every week when we don't interact enough with the comments. I'm putting the pressure on you. You've came in with some absolute belters tonight, some good one-liners. But yeah, man, get some points in for the guys, and we'll just do a wee quick fire thing. But while you are doing that, we'll just quickly talk about obviously we've got St Johnstone coming up at the weekend. Another chance to I hope to extend the lead because it seems like our rivals keep getting the fixture before us. There's no case where we're playing before them in the run up to Ibrox. So likelihood is it'll probably be a 6-point gap on Saturday. We need to make it 9 again. I'm hoping that's not the case and they do drop some points. But St Johnstone, I wouldn't have many worries about playing them at home. It's one of those fixtures that if you're looking for some home games to play, St Johnstone is surely one that you would pick every time because can't see them coming in trouble on us too much. I think we should get the job done. Livy last night were just that typical stodgy self, the whole parking the bus thing. And like I said it to my dad last night at the game because he was a bit miffed as to at 2-1 when they're losing. He's like, why are they still doing all that time wasting? And I'm like, the game what Dundee United did before the World Cup, they were 2-1 down. They'll try to keep it at 2-1 till the last 10 minutes and then they'll throw everybody forward.
Throw the pressure on,
of course, it nearly worked for Dundee United, but that's the strategy I try to do. But I think we should both St Johnstone away at the weekend, Mark. No problems there.
Aye, definitely, mate. St Johnstone are one of the teams that we seem to get a couple of goals against. I think it'll be 2-0 Celtic. I think we'll break the wee 1-goal margin streak. I think we've won 5 games in a row 1-0, and the one before that was 4-2. I think the 2 goals in the last minute. I think that was the Dundee United game you're talking about. So we need to get out of this week, and it's not a bad thing. I'd rather just win 36 games 1-0. I would take that every season, but. Yeah. So I want us to start putting teams to bed because I think we've made about 300 chances in about the last 9 matches and we've only scored something like 20 goals. So I think we need to start putting teams to bed a bit faster. And I think St Johnstone, I'm hoping Giakouamkis starts. I think we might see a wee kind of be a bit merry a spring in the player's step because Ange was quite cutting in his press conference after the match. And I like that about Ange. He didn't just sit there and start spouting shite. He said, I wasn't impressed with that. That was rubbish. That's not what they're paid for. And they should be doing that a lot faster, quicker, and putting away a lot more chances. And I like that about Ange.
Yeah. Well, here's our first one then. Stubbsy's horse has delivered. He came in with a point. Really simple question. I think we know the answer to this already. He says, when we win on the 2nd, it's not if, it's when we win on the 2nd. I like that. Good confidence. Are you guys calling it? I believe on the bus, Russell has already called it. I think when we did PMP after the Ross County game just before the World Cup when they drew St Mirren and we went to 9 points. I think he came on here and said he's calling it, but I think he's pretty comfortable about yourself, David. I mean, for me personally, if we win that game, I'll say if, I'll keep it, I'll still toe the line if we win it. Then by all means, I cannot see it being overturned at that point. But even if they were to beat us that day, then I still think we've got enough in us to get over the line in first place, because you've got to remember this January window, we're already making moves, we're bringing players in now, we seem to have a bit of financial muscle to flex. They don't, do they, David? They really don't.
I honestly don't think they do. I mean, he seems big old Mickey Beale seems to be really wanting to get Morelos on a new contract by what I've been like just interpreting from what he's been saying and the fact that he's playing in my head. I'd heard a little rumour, and it is just a rumour, that he's had a wee fallout with that Cholak. Like I know they're saying he's injured, but there's rumours that there was a wee bit of a tiff there.
Okay.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Like, has he not got Kamal Roof fit? So, like, I just don't know why you're playing a Morelos.
Got him as well.
Maybe. Well, so I don't know how true that is. I just there was a bit of chat in some group chats that folk had been hearing all this kind of stuff. So whether that's just nonsense, I don't know. But I think if I go back to the game, I think if we win, I'm pretty confident we'll get a result at Ibrox. But if we win, I think it's done and dusted. To be honest, I think Rangers are relying on us losing a fair hefty few amount of games to claw that back. And even if they beat us at Ibrox, I still wouldn't be panicking too much. We'd still have to get them back at home again, and I think we'd do all right there.
I would think so.
I'd be pretty confident. Made a hat trick on the day.
Made a hat trick, of course. Mark, we'll come to you in this one. Davy Rue, 67, one of your favourite players you'll have to talk about. How much do you think we will get for Juranovic? There's too much press about him leaving. So obviously, he's had a decent World Cup, and unlike the other Croatian international that went to the World Cup from Scotland, who has claimed that he is tired out after simply putting the bibs out for most games in the cones, which I found hilarious. Old Barisic is like he's worn out after playing one game. Juranovic played every game bar the third place playoff. But yeah, he played well. There was the Brazil game in particular, he was good. But realistically, Mark, what do you think we will get if a bid does come in for Juranovic?
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll make a wee deal with David. I think if he beats the Kieran Tierney transfer, for every £1 million he gets over Kieran Tierney's valuation, I'll put a tenner towards any charity. So if it's £30 million, I'll put £50 towards a charity, right? Okay.
Maybe 30 million, but
I guarantee you.
I've got a funny feeling. I just think
Tierney
I genuinely do think
million.
he will match. I think he will at the very least think he'll match it.
I
do.
I think anybody with a pencil, a bit of paper,
he's worth that.
would tell
I'm
you
not saying I think he's worth
£30 million.
that. I just have a feeling. I can just see it. I don't know why. I've just got a weird wee feeling that like they'll match it.
Nah,
I think he'll match it.
I think they'll just closing the borders, mate.
No, we kind
Nah,
I don't know. What was Tierney? Sorry, was Tierney 25 million?
He was 25 million. Yes, he was indeed. I
think he'll be in that bracket. Like,
I think we'll get 15 million from him. I think 15 million we'll get.
Can I ask? Can you remember, guys? Can you remember how much was left on Tierney's contract?
Oh, good question. I cannot remember.
Does anybody know that? Because that's
3 or 4 years.
One of my main reasons that I'm saying that, because I believe he didn't. Say that again. You think he had just no long signed a new contract?
I think he'd see the 2017 strip. I've got memories of him standing there with that strip after signing a new 5-year deal. Okay. And he left the season after Rodgers left, so when he went his first full season, so that'd be about 1.5 years, 2 years later. So I'm pretty sure he signed a new deal.
Right. So Juranovic is on a 5-year deal. And he's in 18 months. He'll be about 18 months into that 5-year deal.
I think so.
He's been in a few of the. I don't think it was the official. It wasn't the official World Cup Team of the Year, but he made it into the Telegraph's one, or he made it into the Guardians, or one of them. You know, there people.
I don't think that matters, but David, I don't think.
No, I know it doesn't hold a lot of weight. But what I'm saying is, he's raised a lot of eyebrows. There's a lot of. I genuinely think. I think Celtic should. Why not? 25 million in his years.
David, I tell you what, David. See if they make 26 million, right? I'll attend it to your charity. See if they make 27. So somebody's going to win here, right? But I would actually be as happy as you are if Celtic get that money. In fact, it doesn't matter if Celtic get 500 million. They're not going to spend it anyway. But I'm just saying, see if they get 30 million pound for this guy. That to me, football is finished. I mean, it's finished anyway. But if you're talking about a guy at that level going for 30, I mean, come on to fuck. But I think the World Cup. I think the World Cup is simmered down a bit now. I think that it's beginning to simmer down now. So see that excitement you get because I don't know if he made a good throw-in against Brazil or something. I didn't actually see the highlights of the game, but he done something against Brazil that
he was good against Brazil. To be fair, he was.
As well, that's calmed down now, mate. That was a couple of weeks ago now. I just kind of forgot about it now. So that dissipates.
That's going to be in a scouts video. That's going to be in a scouts video reel there, isn't
it? Aye, definitely. Well, what's going to happen is, see what happens is, a scout will no look at that 90 minutes. I'd imagine he'll probably look at the World Cup, and if he's got to look at the 3 matches, he'll maybe watch them. He'll probably watch his Champions League performances and maybe watch a couple of derby matches. My brother, he done a bit of coaching and he did a bit of technical analysis for the Celtic women's team, and he would say, like, you watch number 8, just watch them, just watch that number 8, whether they're on the ball or no, just watch them. And that's what these scouts do. So those who have a camera or whatever it is, they just watch what he does. They watch him run out of position, they watch his temperament, they watch his discipline. And there's question marks on a lot of that for me. And depending on what team he's got, he might be if he's going to go into a team that have got 2 fullbacks, 2 centre backs that can really cope with their fullbacks going forward all day, and they can cope with the unrushing counter attacks. He might do well in that system. He might. So that might not be an issue for them whether he gets caught out of the back or no. You know what I mean? But personally, if the main money Celtic make, Celtic are the winners, which means we're the winners, right? So I personally don't think. I know he's only signed 2 years ago for a 5-year contract. I know that. Yep. But he's 27 or 28, so I can't remember his exact age. He's playing in Scotland, and I just don't know if money's daft in football. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if he goes for that kind of money, David. 25. I think £15 million I think now is the starting point for Celtic. Whereas before I thought 12 was probably the starting point. I think now 15 to 20 million pounds is I think is realistic for that guy.
There's the answer
Six-year
about
deal.
KT there.
6-year deal. Okay, that all right. Okay, that thing is that up then. That clears that up then.
Okay.
And it's far better.
Oh, of course, Tierna's a far better. Of course, he's a far better player.
Oh,
I just, but he just. Tierney ever played in the Champions League for us? Did. Of course he did. He scored that goal. Or he got the deflected goal.
The first two Brendan seasons, he did and then Europa League after that.
Short fucking memory, me. Cool.
I've got one more question. It's came in again from Subsea Sauce. There you go. He's got two in tonight. There we go. But I'm going to use this for another one because this is another point I forgot to bring up regarding the game coming up tomorrow. So he says there's really nobody in the Scottish leagues that Ange fancies buying. Is that a sad indictment of our game? I know Russell said this quite a few times about it. Definitely feels like Ange doesn't really rate Scottish football. But here's another concern. There's obviously Ralston went off injured last night. We had to play Greg Taylor at right back, and defensively we were fine, but going forward, obviously he was a bit stifled because people sometimes say his right leg is literally just for standing on. He doesn't actually use his right foot, and I don't think Bernabei is very good with his right foot neither. So the only two fullbacks that we've got, the only two fullbacks we've got in the first team right now that are fit and available are both left-sided, and this is the point that I want to just bring up. But it's similar to what Stubbsy Sauce is saying. We've also got a B team, and I've said before about the B team where it's like I don't feel the level they're playing at is really going to help them improve. Playing part-timers every week in the Lowland League where there's nothing on the line for them because they can't get promoted, they can't get relegated. But this would have been a chance for, if there was somebody good enough, then a game against St Johnstone at home, they have to come in and fill in for one game. Surely there must be a right-back within that squad that's good enough. But I get the feeling we're going to see a left-sided full-back playing at right-back on Saturday, Mark.
That could be the case, mate. I agree with you. I think it's actually not that uncommon. I think if you remember the first couple of months of the last season, we had Ralston and Juranovic. Well, Juranovic was playing that position. I'm sure when we signed Jens, there was folk mentioning he can also play on the right hand side of our defence. I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
That would be handy then. That would be really handy.
Hattati can play left back. So could you move Hattati to left back?
I think Abelgard was bought as a midfielder that can play in defence as well. You remember saying he could play in centre back? So he's played defence a few times. Abelgard. I don't know. I never saw him. I think I can. I may recognise.
I don't think Ange just saw him, to be honest. You say Ange, but Abelgard will go who?
I know. I think that boy's. I don't know. His folks saying maybe his second part of the season might be his time at Celtic, but I don't know. But I would recognise the guy if he bumped into me in the shops. Don't know who he is. I literally couldn't. If you showed me a team lined up, as much as I watch Celtic, I probably couldn't point them out. I don't even remember seeing him play.
Would St Johnstone at home be a perfect opportunity to try three at the back?
Full diet. Damn you. I'm not doing that at all. Stubbsy's Horse every week calls us out for not interacting enough with the Thursday Night Forum comments. I'm putting the emphasis on him, but no more Stubbsy's Horse's comments in tonight.
Get him out.
Oh, dearie me. Anyway, sorry, David.
What I was trying to say was, would St Johnstone at home be a perfect opportunity to try three at the back and get Giakouamkis and Kyogo up front together?
Possibly.
You've got Jens, Starfelt, and Carter Vickers as your back three. That's a pretty solid back three against a St Johnstone at home. And then you could have your James Forrest at right wing back, or and then you've got on the left wing back position. You could even play. I know you want to get Jota in there. He's not going to come. He's not going to do a lot up and down, is he? So you could maybe play Maeda there. I think Maeda would make a cracking left back, man. The amount of times he nicks a ball of people. Or you could even stick Moy in that centre back position because he's like I said, he's brilliant at defending by the looks of it.
Blocking Giakouamkis' shots. He is brilliant at them.
I don't know. Is that a possibility? Would Ange even entertain that? Probably not. But I mean, it's one of the ones where you really want.
But you can still play Greg Taylor and somebody to the right and two centre backs, or you could just play three centre backs.
Not going to be back yet. Is Juranovic not going to be back yet?
I think it will be.
Because what's he been doing? Come on, like they were knocked out weeks ago.
Aye, did he
Well,
know?
no,
Did he
no,
not
weeks
miss the
ago, lad.
third place playoff though because he had
Feels
a
like
calf
weeks ago.
injury? Apparently, did he not miss
Oh,
that?
right enough. The calf injury.
Then again, he was on the bench in that game, fully like kitted up. You know, it wasn't like he was in the national team tracksuit because they were all standing on the sideline ready to run on and celebrate. Juranovic was there with the full Croatia kit on, so I'm like, so he was available to come on.
He's not. I seen in the papers today how Barisic is so tired because his World Cup excerpts. He played about 4 minutes, and they're saying how exhausted he is. I mean, what was he doing? Was he jogging to each stadium in the World Cup?
Carrying the Powerade, mate, and putting the cones out. That's what he did.
I mean, the guy played one match, and they played, 7 games or something, Croatia?
7, yeah, they were all through the top place playoff, 7.
And they're saying how exhausted he is. See, if that's that level of man's fitness, I would have grave concerns about the fitness regimes of the fit uppers. I would, if that's the case. And yeah.
I seen a wee comment there about the wing backs being a bit of a 1990s throwback, but hey, fuck it, everyone likes a wee retro gimmick every now and again.
Well, we'll see. Maybe Tony Ralston will make a wee recovery in time for the game on Saturday, but if not, I'm fully expecting we're going to see Bernabei or Taylor there. But on Saturday, obviously, we'll deal with that with PMP. But hopefully it's Ralston. But if Juranovic does want to come back from his holiday and is fit, then obviously he'll come back. I can't see that happening before Saturday. Maybe Easter Road next week if Ralston's still out. Then I think that's the time scale we can maybe get Juranovic back. But yeah, January 1st can he come soon enough so we have a Johnstone available. Then we've got some options there with these we're hanging by a thread in the right back area. Yeah, I'm
looking forward to seeing him play.
Aye, but guys, we've went for an hour and a quarter, so we'll wrap it up there. It's been an explosive Thursday night forum as I expected it would be, because these Scottish refs, they keep giving us stuff to talk about. They keep on getting it wrong. We will keep on coming on and saying it like it is, regardless if it sounds like a broken down record. If the club won't call it out, we will call it out. We'll keep on saying it like it is. But again, just a reminder to everybody watching, and first of all, thanks for watching. And again, remember to do all the good stuff, because any interaction is a good interaction. Because we are. It improves the algorithm, gets the word of the Bhoycie Bus out there. So, of course, remember to subscribe, like, comment, share, and all of that. So, also tomorrow, yes, Bustalgia will be back after the madness of the quiz last week. I've managed to survive long enough, even though Jonathan and Liam weren't my biggest fans after that one. But yeah, the quiz was a good laugh. But yeah, Bustalgia will return tomorrow. I will drop a surprise after this. I'll put the link up sometime tonight before I go to my bed, and you'll see what it is. But I had to decide quite late on what I was going to do. So I did have something planned for the Christmas special of Bustalgia, which would have been tomorrow. But David, your dad is vital to being on that one, and he can't be here because he's flying to Jamaica on Saturday. But I need him specifically for this Christmas special. But he can't make it. I'll put that one on the back burner. We'll do it further down the line. I'll reveal what that is later on.
Tell him just to stay out there. Forget him.
Yeah, man. So, but tomorrow night there will be some Bustalgia back on, and then Saturday it's PMP. Russell will be on with Terry and a few others from the team, and then Sunday, so obviously Christmas Day. Will there be some Bhoycie Bus exploits on Christmas Day? There might very well be. I cannot confirm nor deny this rumour at the moment, but keep your eyes peeled on your YouTube notifications. But yeah, guys, enjoyed yourselves tonight.
It's been class, mate, as always. The three amigos back together again.
Got a lot of chest, boys.
Can I just say quickly before we go? I've not had a chance to say it. A lot of the guys that are commenting tonight, you've all left great feedback on my wee Barber Chair Confessions video, so I appreciate you all watching that. Remember, guys, the offer's there. If you ever fancy coming along, just message me on Twitter or message Bhoycie. We'll get it organised. I'd love to get you on. Nice. Use a wee trim and have a chat about Celtic. It would be class. I would really appreciate it. It's free. It's just a wee trims, get a wee chat about the Celtic. I'd love to get you on. And just thanks again for watching that, by the way. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I've been meaning to say it for a while, so just took my swing and a miss. But
it was quite good, David. I quite enjoyed that concept. It's pretty unique. There's no very many things on the pod world that hadn't been done 50,000 times. That one's new. You done well to find something that they couldn't seen before, so I quite enjoyed that. We need to get a taxi driver so we could do a taxi driver confessions, but I don't know where that would go. I mean, probably
I don't know if that's a good idea. There's other connotations to the taxi driver one. Yeah.
There's a few taxi videos out there already, Marky boy.
Listen, you see my tattoos in them, it isn't me, I promise you.
These wee fake taxis.
yeah. And on that note as well, obviously that's before we go. Just remember, folks, well, the Judgment Day is coming, and that's all I'll leave on that one. So yeah, guys, we're out of here. So yeah, we'll catch you later, and enjoy yourselves, folks.
Thanks, guys.
One of his comments about
guys,
me
thank you.
deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.